We went to an abandoned mansion just for fun. But when the floor gave way, we fell into a nightmare. It looked like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, only it was real. I lived in a pretty small town in Ohio Amish country. During high school, we would always try to cure our boredom by finding off-the-path places to go. One night we watched the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre and figured it would be a great idea to go to an abandoned house my buddy knew about. To get to this house, we had to park on a gravel road, cross a river, and walk about a mile into the woods. There were about 10 of us on the trip, all with flashlights, and I brought my shotgun just for laughs. We make it through the woods and walk up to the house. It is a turn-of-the-century mansion with no driveway and has clearly been abandoned for a long time. We can't walk inside because the second floor collapsed onto the first. As we are walking around the outside, one of my buddies notices a bunch of writing on one of the walls. As we take a closer look, we notice that at the end of the writing are 10 different initials. Each initial matches a different person in our group. That really creeped out a bunch of the girls because we were already on edge after watching the movie and they all wanted to get the hell out of there. As we turned to walk away, I heard my buddy yell from the other side of the house, "Hey, I found something." We all run over there and he is staring into a first floor window. He points his flashlight through the window and there is a white wedding dress tied to a rope hanging from the ceiling. Across the front is what looked like a huge bloodstain. We immediately backed away from the window, but after 2 steps, I felt a shift underneath my feet. Next thing I know, there is a loud crash and 6 of us are falling through the ground. We fell about 10 feet down under the house into a large room. It wasn't the basement because it was just dirt walls and floor. I shined my flashlight around and it honestly looked like a room from Texas Chainsaw. Old ropes, chains, rusty hooks, saws and all sorts of junk was neatly placed on tables and hooks on the walls. I never took a second look before my buddy was screaming and yelling for us to get out of there. He started reaching down the hole to pull us out. Everyone got out all right except for one guy who landed awkwardly when we fell and hurt his ankle pretty bad. 2 guys carried him through the woods and to the car while everyone else stayed in a tight grouping as we walked back. I had my shotgun with me, so I took up the rear walking backwards the whole way out. The safety was off and I had never been more ready to shoot. The next day, a couple of us went back while it was light out. As we pulled down the gravel road, there were 3 cop cars on the side of the road. We pulled up next to them and asked what was going on. Apparently, somebody heard us the night before and called the cops. When the cops got back in the woods, they investigated the house and it turns out it was an illegal lab and a murder scene. I never heard too much more after that and I don't think they ever found the people who were using it. I still get freaked out sometimes when I think back on if we had stumbled onto the house while the dangerous guys were there. I have another story about waking up in the middle of the night to a stranger at the foot of my bed, stealing all my stuff, but that is another long one. Being a teenager and realizing someone is following you is terrifying. But what if he's standing right outside your window? And the worst part, he keeps coming back in your nightmares. I was 17 in high school working at a country club. The country club was in the rich city 20 minutes from home. To get home, I drive just along the borders or mildly through Detroit, but it's honestly not bad. I noticed at some point I'm being followed late one Saturday night. It's a long stretch on one main road, but the guy keeps tabs on me. Even though there's 3 lanes and all are open, he always pulls behind me. If I change lanes, he changes lanes. I'm getting closer to home and he's making all the same turns as me. I get one side street from home and take it, and start doing random turns and circles down the streets, sometimes looping the same block twice. I'm freaking out. He never once flashed his lights for me to stop or honked a horn or pulled up alongside me. Just kept following me. Being 17 and not knowing what to do, I go home. I pull up in my drive, go inside. All the lights are off already. I don't turn them on and I peer out the window. He parks a house down and across the street. I freak out, wake up my mother. She calls the police. The guy gets out of his car, looks at our house, looks around and then begins walking a few houses over, a few houses back, and repeats this for a while. He's standing completely still with his back to us staring at a house. The cops come and shine a light on him. A few minutes later, cop comes to our door and we let him in. Turns out the kid was going to a party in my city, didn't know where it was exactly. He followed me from practically work because I was about his age and going in the right direction. He was completely drunk, and when the cops pulled up, he had been urinating on the sidewalk. That ended the mystery, but it shook me badly. Edit. Going to toss another thing here instead of making a new post. This isn't so much a single story as an ongoing thing. I have sleep paralysis. I have an extreme case of it. I can go weeks on end with every night having an episode. I have a great deal more hallucinations and they go longer than the actual paralysis. A great deal of the time it's the simple intruder in my room that I wake up to. In most cases I wake up, freak out, and after a minute or two I just go back to sleep. Now and again I'll have a bad episode and have to turn on the light for a bit just to get my bearings. Rarer still, I'll have a horrible one that causes me to get up and turn every light on in my house. They range from someone holding me down, touching me, grabbing my leg, to hearing voices and waking up to someone standing on my bed. Sometimes I see someone standing in the corner or perched somewhere staring at me. The weirdest and longest hallucination actually involved me waking up and eventually sitting up to look out my window as I heard my car door shut. Someone was in the driver's seat trying to start it. I watched him for a good minute, wondering what was going on as I could barely keep my eyes open and make out a face. I snapped to and threw on some pants and ran outside to find out no one was there. The street was silent, the car untouched, and I realized the whole thing had been part of my hallucination. That moment stuck with me more than any other. It's terrifying to not be able to trust your own senses. Even now, I sometimes wonder if one day I'll see something during sleep paralysis that doesn't fade away when the lights turn on. We thought it was just imagination, but when the shadow entered the house and stood in the hallway, we screamed. It was something that should not exist. This took place in the house across from where I live now. My computer is in front of the window and I can see that house clearly. When I was about 13, I often went to my best friend's house across the street. His stepmom and dad were good friends with mine, so I'd walk over anytime, play GameCube, and sometimes spend the night. One night around 2 a.m., I left my house to go over. Outside my home was a dirt field with weeds. As I walked, I suddenly got chills and goosebumps. After about 20 steps, I looked toward the field and saw a silhouette leaning on my neighbor's fence. I panicked, pretending not to see it. After another 10 feet, I looked again. The figure was glowing bright white. Something pulled me toward it, and I even changed direction, walking closer without realizing it. After about 15 feet, I heard a deep, terrifying laugh. The silhouette shifted shape, and I swear I saw horns coming from its head. I snapped out of the trance, nearly in tears from fear, and sprinted toward my friend's house. As I ran, it sounded like something was chasing me, but when I turned back, it was gone. Then suddenly, it was standing in front of my friend's house, laughing at the window. Completely panicked, I ran to his parents' car. They always left a garage opener hidden inside. I opened the garage door, but heard footsteps and panting behind me. As I tried to slip under the rising door, I felt something grab me and scream. Just then, a bright light flashed. I swear I saw what looked like an angel in the lot by my house. Instantly, I felt calm, hit the button, and got inside. I told my friend what happened, expecting him to laugh or call me crazy. Instead, he said he had seen strange things in my lot at night and outside his window. What he described matched exactly what I had seen. Not even 2 hours later, while watching a movie, we heard scratching. Behind us was the same silhouette. My friend whispered, "Don't move." He said it was the thing he'd been seeing for months. The figure banged on the glass. We panicked and ran into the living room. My friend cried, convinced it was after us. Suddenly, the silhouette was in the hallway. We screamed, hid under blankets, and called for his parents. His dad came out at nearly 5 a.m., annoyed, saying it was our imagination. A month later, my friend called at 2 a.m., saying he saw black figures walking around my house. Woke my dad, who checked but saw nothing. When I returned to my room, two silhouettes stood right outside my window. I ran to my friend's house. He was on the phone, screaming that they were inside his place. I heard banging on his door through the call until his parents came. A week later, they moved out without explanation. Me and him stayed best friends, but I couldn't stop asking about it. 2 months ago, after I told him I saw the figures again, He finally admitted what happened. He said there were black outlines of people around his house. Sometimes it felt like someone stood on his shoulder or held his feet, trying to drag him into the floor. Only when his parents entered did it stop. Now, even today, I still see silhouettes at times. I don't know what they are, but they terrify me.